Once a giant, always a giant. For me, it's only a giant.
What's going on YouTube? Diggy546. Definitely hit that subscribe button if you're new. Like the video if you like the video. And I won't tell if you click that bell. But let's go ahead and get into this. So the way that this season has gone has been exciting so far. I mean, there's a lot to be excited about. You added in a guy like Darren Waller. You added in Paris Campbell. The biggest addition on defense, Bobby O. You got a bunch of new faces out here that I think are really going to make a big impact on the New York Football Giants. And today, the Giants have added Isaiah Simmons, inside linebacker, outside linebacker, edge rusher, safety, nickel corner. He pretty much plays it all. Isaiah Simmons was a guy that plenty of Giants fans wanted. I was a guy that really wanted Isaiah Simmons on the Giants because he just was so versatile, and I thought he was the answer to covering the tight ends in this league. Now, there is some footage out here of him covering Travis Kelce, and it's not really that good of footage out there. So he's not the guy that's going to go out and shut down your superstar tight end one-on-one, but he does have some man coverage ability. He does have some issues sometimes at the top of routes, kind of in his transition, but maybe he works with Jerome Henderson, who's the DB coach, and maybe he works with with Wink too, to just kind of figure out some of those things that he has in coverage where it causes him to kind of give things up. So man coverage, I think, can be a strength for him, especially against guys who aren't superstar route runner tight ends. Zone coverage is it leaves a lot to be desired. I think he can do better in zone, but he will be playing a fair amount of man in Wink's defense. But what excites me the most about Isaiah Simmons being on the Giants is just the versatility of him playing that slot corner. And if we can get him to just play that consistent, if we can get his highs to be his consistent in the slot and play slot corner at times. He's not an every down slot corner, but if he can do that, that really opens up things a lot for the defense, because you can do so many different things with a guy that can play that many things, that many positions. So Wink wanted this guy coming out of the draft, and he's a guy that I think fits perfectly in the Wink's defense. You can see him as that kind of CJ Mosley type of linebacker, not the come down and stop the run type of CJ Mosley, but the coverage that CJ Mosley has. And you can also see him as that dangerous blitzer, and you can also see him as that press man guy in the slot. So I just can't wait to see where Wink sends this guy from. I mean, he's going to be blitzing from the slot. Again, he's going to be blitzing from the middle of the field, and he can line up and rush the passer on the edge too. So I don't think he's that third edge rusher that we've been looking for, as far as the guy that's going to consistently line up outside and get pressure. But I do think he will line up outside occasionally and get some pressure on the quarterback. So Isaiah Simmons, he is in his last year of his deal. The Giants only have to pay him $1.1 million. The Cardinals didn't pick up his fifth-year option, so he's a free agent after this year. So Isaiah Simmons could end up being a superstar for us. He could end up being a really, really dynamic player for us. But he could also end up just being a guy who's been what he's been his whole career, which is inconsistent. You get really amazing wild plays from Isaiah Simmons, and then you also get very underwhelming plays where you're like, he played that so badly that he shouldn't be out here on an NFL field. So the two completely different extremes, and it's just what I've seen so far. So looking at Isaiah Simmons' stats, 2020 as a rookie, 16 games, 7 games started, 1 interception, 1 forced fumble, and I think he had 2 sacks and a total of 54 tackles. So nothing crazy for 2020. 2021, 105 tackles, 1.5 sacks, so not much there. And then 4 forced fumbles, which is a lot of forced fumbles, and 7 pass deflections. So it shows he was getting a little bit more active in coverage. Started all 17 games and also got an interception. So 2021 was a solid season for him statistically. But again, if you look at the tape, you see really, really good plays and then you see plays that aren't so good. And the same thing happened for 2022, which I think looking at that tape was his best year. In 17 games, 13 games started, he had 99 tackles. He had 4 quarterback sacks. He had 7 pass deflections again. He had 2 forced fumbles. And then he also had a pick 6. So that was he had 2 interceptions, and one of them was a pick 6. And the guy has 4.3 speed. So when he catches these interceptions, he's a threat to go back the other way with them. So I think Isaiah Simmons and Wink's defense, if he is going to realize his potential, is going to be in this defense. There's not much better that you're going to get in the NFL than Wink Martindale coaching this team. I just don't think there's much better you can get. You got Dexter Lawrence, you got Leo up at front, you got your 2 edge rushers out there. So I think for the most part, Isaiah Simmons will be protected. He'd be playing next to Bobby O. And I think Bobby is going to be a guy that's going to be doing a lot of crashing down. He's going to be a guy that's doing a ton of blitzes. So looking at this, I think we have really exceptional blitzers on this team right now. You look at a guy, like I said, like Bobby. You look at a guy like Isaiah. You look at a guy like, I would say Darnay Holmes, but hopefully he's not on the field. But Adoree Jackson has speed. Trey Hawkins looks like he's going to be a guy that's going to really be able to get downhill quickly and cause some mayhem. Pinnock was a really good blitzer for us last year. McKinney was a really good blitzer for us last year. And McKinney, if you actually look back on my channel, I made a video when we drafted Xavier McKinney saying I wanted Isaiah Simmons, but Xavier McKinney is literally the next best thing. And I mean, thus far, Xavier McKinney has been the better player. Both guys who I've seen Xavier McKinney line up at edge rusher. I've seen McKinney line up at linebacker. I've seen him line up, strong, weak Mike. I've seen him line up at both safeties. I've seen him play outside corner. I've seen him play slot corner. So they're similar players. Now, Isaiah Simmons is a bigger player. He's also probably a little bit more athletic. But I think just having that opportunity to move these guys around, to have a guy like McKinney at safety and Isaiah Simmons at linebacker, and then they can rotate. You can disguise a lot of coverages that way, which Wink loves to do. Even more than the blitzing is the way that Wink disguises the blitzes. So you want guys who can literally do everything. On top of that, you have another guy, Nick McLeod, who can play safety, who's been training at safety, but also can play corner. You also got Bob McCain that can do that. So this is really starting to look like a multiples defense, which it already was, but even more now. And boom or bust. This is a boom or bust signing. But also, I think as I say that, I start to think of like, this may not be a boom or bust signing, because if you look at the guy's tackles, he's up over 99 tackles the last 2 years. He's up over 99 tackles the last 2 years. He had 4 sacks last year. Statistically, he had a really good season last year. And, not a Pro Bowl season by any stretch of anything, but he did have a good season last year. So he could just be a good player for us. But the athleticism is there. The talent is there for him to be a great player. Now, it's just all up to him, and it's all up to this coaching staff to see if we can finally see him at his full potential, which would be the steal of the century for a 7th round pick, which I didn't mention that we traded him for. A 7th round pick for a guy that was a top 10 talent. He was a top 10 talent when he got drafted. Is a steal for me. So whatever we get out of him, I'm glad we took this swing. It was a position of need. I still think we probably need to make one trade to try to get a guy like Julian Okwara in here. But you guys let me know what you're thinking of this move. I think it could pay off to be a really, really nice move. If you made it this deep into the video, come on, just hit the subscribe button. I make Giants content primarily, draft content secondarily, and during the season, I'm going to be doing a lot of reacting to pretty much most of the NFL games and everything NFL. So if you made it this deep, go ahead and join the D6 squad.